Hey, look, it's an Oscar-nominated documentary. Should you watch it? I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and this is my review of All That Breathes. I'm a blind film critic, so I watched this with audio description, which was a nice change of pace because there are some other documentaries that came out this year that I'd like to watch that don't have audio description, like Bad Axe and Moon Age Daydream. Definitely not paying for those. So this one has audio description on HBO Max. So I watched it because it's nominated for an Oscar. And you never know, might win. I think documentary filmmakers and those who vote for documentaries and I just have like a fundamental difference of opinion as to which documentaries I like and what I like to have in a documentary, and what I expect to come out of a documentary. Every once in a while we overlap and I just go, oh yeah, okay, so we were right. Those were fantastic. And last year we had a couple of those. I liked Summer of Soul. I thought that was great. And I loved ADNA. ADNA was really well made. This year, this is the second Oscar-nominated documentary where I've already seen like 10 other Oscar documentaries this year, not even Oscar docs. I've seen a bunch of other documentaries this year that were better. So, I'm sorry, I didn't like this. I know, it's shocking. This thing won like 2 film festivals, so I'm very much the guy that they, like, I say that and like the whole room stops and stares at me and I'm like, why didn't you like this? It's not that I don't think it's bad. This is not like a negative review, by the way. This is not like a thumbs down. This is just top 5. We nominated this. This is what kind of that is when you elevate something to. I mean, if this was just me watching something, if this was still during the period in which it was shortlisted, I'd just be like, whatever. It's probably not getting whatever. But no, this thing made the top 5, so I expected, I don't know, brilliance, excellence. I expected to be reached and affected and moved and or learn something profound, be changed in some sort of way or something. And I think this is a little bit like Fire of Love, where it's possible that what I'm missing out on is the visuals. I think maybe the documentary branch chose visual work this year. Fire of Love I wasn't a fan of, but it has tons of volcano footage, which could be cool. I don't know that if I could see that I would go run and see a film just to see volcano footage. And I really hope that's not why we're voting for things. I don't care how close they got to the volcano. It's just like, I feel like that's what IMAX did for years. They just released things like Everest, Aliens of the Deep, and they just like went places with cameras. We have to be past that point where like, ooh, this is amazing. I feel like I've never seen this before. And this one has 2 brothers in India who work to save kites. I know it sounds weird. It sounded weird to me too. I didn't know what a kite was. Really did not know what a kite was. I'll get up on the dumbass platform on this one too. Didn't know what it was. I had no idea. Took me a while to figure out that it was a kind of a bird. There were even like contradictory references in the thing that threw me off, where there was like the mention that they wanted to take the bird when they were trying to figure out in the beginning how to help these things, right? And they found a kite that was hurt. And they were going to try to take it to like a bird hospital, but the bird hospital wouldn't take it because it was non-vegetarian. And I was like, I remember that line too, because it was such a ridiculous line. And I wanted to be like, no birds are vegetarian. There's no bird out there that's eating a fucking tree. So first of all, let's come up for a different word. Predator, bird of prey. It's a bird of prey. Just call it a bird of prey. There are no vegetarian birds. There's no bird out there that's like munching on a tree, like while it's out there. No, I mean even the woodpeckers are trying to find worms. You know, they're not eating the bark as they peck into it. Um, so that's not a thing. It would be a bird sanctuary that accepted no birds because none of them are vegetarian. Be like, I'll take your bird as long as it doesn't eat anything that's living. Hmm. I win. I take no birds. No birds in this house. All right. But yeah, so they decided to kind of, even though they don't really have the knowledge or the background or anything, they were bodybuilders up until this point. They decided to start taking care of kites and sending them back out there. And it seems like the kind of thing that people don't necessarily want to do because, again, they're birds of prey, but they find them to be beautiful. There was one time where it threw me for a loop where I was like, is it a bird? But because they were talking about, they made like a lizard reference, how it looked like a flying lizard. And I was like, why does it look like a flying lizard if it's a bird? Is this a dragon? So I was so confused. It's one of those things when you're blind and you're like, I wish I could just see this fucking thing. I feel like, you know, if this was a movie about eagles, right? I would know. I'll be like, okay, eagle, done. Hawk, done. Falcon, done. When you start calling it a kite, I'm like, I don't know what that is. I just don't. So I needed more of a description. And the audio description kind of just assumed that I knew what a kite was. For the most part. So, wasn't really helpful. But, yeah, so these brothers, and we see their lives, and, whoever, it's sort of weird, because I'm like, who are these filmmakers that find these random people and document their lives for long periods of time? You know, they just like walk into somebody's house and I'm like, do you do anything cool? And they're like, I don't know, I save birds. Can I follow you for 2 years? Yes. You know, it's just, it seems like such a weird concept. Like, who turned the filmmaker on to this? Anyway, but, so, yeah, so they work on saving kites, which need meat, so they feed them meat, because they're birds of prey. It'd be like saving a falcon or a hawk or something like that. They eat other birds sometimes, and yes, this is, I guess, they're doing what, you know, what they should be doing. I mean, they believe, I guess, that everything deserves a shot. All that breathes, I guess, ties into that. Anyway, so that's what the film is. You get to learn who these brothers are and their personal lives intertwined and how that affects. And probably the most interesting thing about the movie is how they change over the course of the movie. So I don't want to ruin that, but and they, yeah, but you see scenes like one of the little daughter coming in and being like, "Daddy, play with me," and he's like, "Go to bed. I'm working. Play with you later. This kite needs my attention. I must save this bird." Yeah. So I just don't know. I don't know. I would need somebody in the documentary branch to explain to me why they thought this was spectacular. There are shots that are described, audio description, that are like of kites flying and like the magnificence of what it looks like and how they swoop and they spin, and I guess the way they fly is beautiful or really pretty or cool or something. So again, I go back around to, did we nominate this because because it's a visual wonder? Am I just not getting this year's documentaries because instead of them necessarily being substantial docs, they're visual docs? They carry a lot of weight that way. I don't know. I'm really interested in House of Splinters whenever it comes to some sort of streaming or whatever platform. because that sounds like a documentary that you really that really might actually hit me. Of the five, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed too might. Maybe I just watched the ones that I wouldn't have liked. I don't know, but I just know that you know, the Janes was fantastic and was shortlisted. And if you're asking me, would I give All That Breeze spot to the Janes? Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I walked away from the Janes with a better understanding and knowledge of something. If I walked away from the Janes feeling like it had reached and pushed me in a different direction, and it did everything that I generally in like a documentary to do. It was informative. It moved me. I enjoyed it. I thought it was well made from start to finish. It answered all my questions. It didn't leave me with things with, you know, like a hanging chat of whatever. This just kind of, I know more about kites a little bit, but not even a lot. I don't even feel like I'm not going to go out there and give a speech on kites, you know? I feel like I could tell somebody about the Janes and that network and how that was set up and everything. But I don't know that I could give a great speech on kites after this. So, yeah, that's where I come down. So sorry, All That Breathes. I know you have fans. I am not one of them. Yeah, there are a lot of films this year that I thought were just more interesting and deserve your spot. Descendant would be another one, although I thought Descendant was poorly marketed as we're gonna uncover a slave ship. Was the least interesting thing about Descendant. The most interesting thing was this town that had been there forever, and their former slave owners owning all this land, and they keep putting corporations on this land that keep destroying their sort of ecosystem, and which is making everybody sick. And it's really interesting. Should have been called Africa Town. That's literally what it should have been called. That's the name of the town, and that would have been way more on the nose. And then yes, the slave ship thing feels like the B plot of that storyline when you actually watch the film. But I would rather see Descendant in the top 5. So there's a couple other films. Tree of Life. I would have rather seen that. So anyway, that's it. Audio description here, as I said, very necessary. I couldn't even imagine having watched this without audio description. So thank you to HBO Max for putting audio description on it, because if the main focus of this thing is birds, they don't talk. So knowing what they're doing and where they are and flying around, like there was this cool scene where they were talking about trying to, these two kites were like protecting the nest while the two babies were inside, and nobody could get near it, and they were like dive bombing people to try to get them away. And they called these brothers in because they were like the experts on kites in the area. You kind of have to like know what it is that you're looking at, and what it is that people see. So definitely would not have recommended this without audio description. So that's it. Time to deflate the entire world by giving an Oscar-nominated documentary mediocre grade, but I'm gonna give All That Breathes a C+. Yeah, it's okay. It's on the positive side. You know, if I was on the tomato meter, it'd be leaning positive. I consider C+ I consider C to be average, so this means it's above average. So there you go. I just wanted more. I wanted more from an Oscar-nominated documentary, So, and especially one that won 2 film festivals. Like, what was it up against? Jesus. Anyway, so maybe documentarians and I just have completely different views on what they like out of a documentary, or maybe it's just, if you guys are just gonna keep picking things that are visual wonders, we're just never gonna see eye to eye. See what I did there? All right. Anyway, thanks for watching and subscribing, and hopefully you will continue to subscribe to my channel, or if you're not a subscriber, you'll click subscribe. I also have a website, macmovieguyy.com. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acp.org, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at macmovieguy. You can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. And you can look up your favorite films and TV shows there and see who worked on the narration for them. That's it for me today. I will watch something else and review it, and I will see you guys on the other side.